I've got 15 minutes, guys, a pretty big topic, so I'll just kind of try to whiz through it, and I'll be talking more about like my personal thought process for thinking about this topic rather than giving you like kind of detailed recipes for making things happen. So, personal introduction, right. I'm currently working at Founders Factory in London, which is an incubator and an accelerator, but prior to that I was head of growth at Wunder, which is a carpooling company here in Germany, and head of growth at a Sequoia-backed company in Asia, which was essentially very similar to ClassPass. And I also started my own startup. So at the moment, based in London, working for Founders Factory, and what we do is that we launch technology startups, and we do that essentially in two ways. You've got an accelerator where we invest into early stage businesses, and we've got an incubator where we build businesses ourselves. Now, we've got, right. These are our investors, and they've got a combined market cap of 120 billion and audience reach of 500 million people. And we work with them across these 6 sectors. In each sector, we're building 2 companies per year from scratch, which turns out around like 60 companies across 5 years that we have to build. And together with the companies in the accelerator, it comes to 200 companies in next 5 years. So that's pretty crazy scale. So where does that kind of like leave us, kind of bringing this back to growth? So there are only a few like really scalable macro channels that really like kind of allow startups in the growth phase to kind of grow sustainably and scalably. So first is paid acquisition advertising, then SEO, word of mouth, sales, and like very occasionally partnerships. So each startup post-product market fit usually only grows through like one big channel, like 80-20 rule applies there. It really is, I would struggle to come up with an example of a startup that to whom it didn't apply. And that startup then has got a growth team that develops like deep channel expertise in that channel. Now we've got 200 startups, so in theory we need to become experts in all the early traction stuff, and then also all the kind of like bigger, more scalable channels, which is really hard. So there must be a better way, and we've kind of come up with sort of 2 insights that have helped us define like how we want to sort of stand out as a growth team and how we want to kind of make sure that we grow our company sustainably and scalably. So the first insight is that the channels become saturated faster and faster, and this chart only includes like the more viral social channels, but it applies to other channels as well. And then the other insight is that new companies emerge with new channels. So for example, in the travel vertical, you would have Expedia being born out of banner ads, then Kayak taking advantage of PPC, TripAdvisor of SEO, and then Hotel Tonight of mobile. And I'll explain more about why that is the case. So obviously, new companies move into new channels simply because those channels are cheaper, but also because those channels are hard for like the incumbents to adapt to. So the best example of this is Facebook. When they first started taking mobile seriously, they just essentially recreated their web experience on mobile. But other companies like Instagram and WhatsApp that were mobile first, grew a lot faster because the product was ultimately like mobile first. So the conclusion we made is like bet on emerging channels, and bear in mind that the bets I will be talking about apply like primarily to our portfolio. You've got different needs. you might make different bets. And also, this is not like a static list. We are always kind of, adding and subtracting to our list of bets. And also, I'll be focusing on like why we've made these bets rather than on how to operationalize those channels. So the first channel I want to talk about is Snapchat. And the reason why we're focusing on it as like the big emerging channel is that obviously Snapchat's about to IPO, and we think that they're going to launch a self-serve ad platform. Even if they don't do that in the very near future, there are some like very advanced influencer platforms that essentially allow you to run app installs on Snapchat without spending like big bucks like brands. So definitely like one for pretty much everybody to look at. The second channel is bots. So as you know, people are not downloading new apps anymore, and all the messenger apps in the West are trying to emulate WeChat. And also, obviously, there is like a lot less friction for new companies when it comes to acquiring users through bots inside messengers. And next, influencer platforms. So influencer platforms have, kind of evolved from essentially people just like meeting, having like some kind of personal relationship through agencies, through like very simple platforms, to influencer platforms where you can track installs and kind of serve ads yourself without having to interact with an account manager. And those platforms now are kind of starting to have scale that becomes like very interesting for advertisers, and that allows advertisers to use these platforms as a sort of full-on channel. And then the next phase we're seeing sort of happen very slowly is influencers co-creating products together with brands, and kind of essentially, kind of co-marketing them together. And the other sort of sign of the influencer platforms maturing is Google acquiring FameBit, which is a big YouTube influencer platform. iOS search ads. So we actually don't think that in the current iteration they are very sort of useful, and nobody has really made it work. But what we're thinking is, well, what if these ads, kind of come into the spotlight search on Mac, on iOS, and suddenly Apple creates AdWords for the, iOS and Mac ecosystem? That would be huge. So we're kind of trying to be like really early in this channel, and keep an eye on that. App indexing. Again, nobody has really made this work yet, to my knowledge, but again, it's like such an obvious thing that I think next year we'll see companies starting to make it work. And then the last one I want to talk about is, app indexing. Going global from the get-go. So entrepreneurs here in Germany, in the UK, in the US are spoiled because they've got access to a really large home market straight away, and they're not forced to think about going global straight away. But people from Ireland, Sweden, Czech Republic, they have to have like a fundamentally different mindset. And I think that mindset would really benefit entrepreneurs everywhere, because often there are kind of like underappreciated sort of channels or opportunities for growth in markets other than your home one. And we've got a company in our portfolio that has just won like a top award at FB Start in London that essentially targets doctors and allows them to share like medical case studies. And again, they could have just focused on the UK and then go global, maybe first by going to the US, Australia, Canada, but they've just launched everywhere. And it turns out there are English-speaking doctors everywhere, and it's really, like fast-rocketed their growth, and they raised, I think, like 1.5 million a couple of weeks ago. So definitely think about opportunities globally straight away. And some parting thoughts. So you could obviously bet on different channels. So some of the ones that I have not mentioned are emerging markets, opportunities there in general, vertical search engines. So essentially people abandoning Google and going first to a kind of like a sector-specific search engine. Then you might be better off focusing your energy and focus on like taking advantage of changes in like more mature channels, not in the emerging channels. And also you should think about how to spot emerging growth channels like for your own benefit in the future. That's beyond the scope of today. So if you if you're interested in emerging growth channels, definitely head to my website, subscribe to my newsletter, and also come talk to me, come find me. And by the way, we're also hiring for our growth team, so.
Great.